in the sunlight habang andyan pa ba yan kasi hindi natin alam kung tatagal itong sunlight natin dito sa amin. Ayan, first meta alive tayo in the sunlight habang andyan pa ba yan kasi hindi natin alam kung tatagal itong sunlight natin dito sa amin. Alam mo naman, in certain places mabilis mawala. Iniisip ko nga today, quickly pag-usapan natin yung lay of the land, no? In the coming week kasi Monday pa lang mukhang may mga malalaking bagay na mangyayari. Base dun sa announcement na nakuha natin from Commission on Elections, mukhang soon we may have some major update dito sa disqualification petitions, no, na sinampahan laban kay former senator and vice presidential candidate and now presidential candidate Ferdinand Marcos Jr. or Bongbong Marcos Jr. BBM, no. So sa Monday medyo siguro magkakaroon tayo ng updates dyan or more ideas about saan tayo pupunta. Ayan, okay ba tayo? Medyo fresh air naman tayo kasi yun nga eh. I hope okay kayo dyan, ha. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yung nangyari sa ating bansa. May interview kami recently with Dr. Lechon with GMA Network. I-post ko rin dyan. Tignan nyo, pinag-usapan namin of course yung Omicron. At medyo nakakatakot nga yung sitwasyon, no? So hopefully everyone is fine. So fresh air muna tayo dito. Well, siguro alam natin if we were in any other functioning mature democracy, what would have happened on hindi lang ngayon siguro but much earlier, no, pagdating sa mga issues ng qualification at whether people convicted of certain crimes should be allowed to run for office or not. But of course, the Philippines medyo fledgling democracy pa lang tayo and that always creates some sort of complications and unpredictabilities. At the same time, of course, in any functioning and mature democracy, alam natin na, of course, dapat independent yung mga commission on elections, yung mga tao na na-appoint dyan. But then again, we're talking about mature and functioning democracies. Is that the case in the Philippines? Of course, I will try to give the benefit of the doubt, no? Benefit of the doubt. At hopefully, tignan natin kung anong magiging decision ng COMELEC, whether it's going to be unanimous, against all the petitions, whether it's going to be split in favor of certain petitions over the other. And then of course, na-post na natin earlier, di ba, nang pinag-usapan dito, yung mga petitions iba-iba eh, no? Some of the petitions there, ang gusto nilang gawin is i-disqualify talaga, no? But that means someone else can replace, if ever, no? I'm not saying it's likely, but if ever, someone else can replace Bongbong Marcos. Who knows? Marcos could maybe replace him, or someone who can still qualify for the presidential position and be nominated doon sa partido ni Bongbong Marcos, no? Kung yung ibang petitions naman kasi gusto nila i-cancel talaga yung certificate of candidacy. So in that case, talagang wala nang pwedeng replace dyan or anything like that. So pinag-usapan din natin yan at pinost natin early yan yung issue na yan, no? Na yung mga petitions na yan, they use different grounds to try to go against Marcos, but they also have different nature and different implications, no? Some want to totally cancel yung certification of candidacy niya, yung iba i-disqualify siya, but that means he can still be replaced, no, by someone from the same family or the same party, among other things, no. And of course, dun sa mga petitions, alam natin iba't ibang angles yung inatak. Yung ibang petitions, sinasabi na may moral turpitude na nangyari. Dun sa kaso niya, yung iba sinasabi na, well, ang nangyari dito is hindi siya nagbayad ng fine niya. Yung iba sinasabi na, well, just because ang pinag-usapan dito is something about ITR, revenues, etc., then by nature that itself should disqualify him. So hindi lang isang petition ang pinag-usapan at hindi lang isang angulo ang mga petitions na inatake dito, no? So that's why commission elections talaga, let's see, are they gonna be unanimous with whatever decision they make? Are they gonna split? And if it's a split against disqualification or cancellation of certification candidacy, ano maging position ng minority, yung nag-vote in favor, let's say, and I'm sure pag-usapan na naman yan. If it goes the other way, then most likely pupunta na ito sa Supreme Court. Then that creates its own dynamics because nakita natin in the case of Senator Grace po, nag-dragon itong issue and eventually it was going to affect the printing of ballot at sino pangalan ng Janet. In many ways, it undermined yung momentum ni Grace po, no, nung in 2016, who was actually doing very well in the earlier phases of the race, no. So in short, hindi ito parang hindi lang simple ang pinag-usapan na issue dito. Ang daming mga technicalities, legalities, and angles na yan. And of course, I'm not gonna pretend to be a lawyer, election lawyer, etc. But ito yung basa ko based on the materials I've seen from decent independent legal analysis na meron tayo. So in a sense, this is a very tough one, no? Not only from a legal stance, because some lawyers will give you completely opposite stance on this issue or interpretation, but also politically, marami siyang implications. Now, of course, it remains to be seen what is also the stance of President Duterte on this issue. That will be an interesting angle. I have no information about that, but maybe some stuff will come out later on. And whether it will matter kung President Duterte is for or against these petitions. Does he have even a leverage at this point in his presidency, right? Or is he still a powerful president who can still put his thumb on the scale? So yun din ang isa pang angle. That's why ang daming implication itong disqualification at saka petition to cancel for cancellation of certificate of candidacy petitions na yan, no? Ang daming implications. Hindi lang dun sa prospective presidency ni Bongbong Marcos. And of course, tignan din natin ano maging response, no, ng mga supporters ni Bongbong Marcos just in case it doesn't go their way, no? Because I think yung stance talaga ng Marcos camp is just try to be dismissive towards this whole process so that they can just delegitimize it as much as possible. Hindi nga nagpakita, di ba? May Zumacron daw, sabi nung isa. So, I think the Marcos preference is this will be just treated like a joke, and the whole thing will be just thrown out of the window as soon as possible para they can go marching all in for the May victory, no? So mukhang yun ang talagang gusto ng Marcoses, but it's very possible it might not go their way, and it might not go their way in multiple levels, no? So let's see where this is gonna go, but the stakes are very high. Yun nga yung maging response kasi pinag-usapan natin dun sa Okta research, sinasabi na more than 40% nung supporters ni Bongbong Marcos dun sa mga pumipili sa kanya bilang first choice ay sinasabi they're gonna stick with him, no? Na they're not gonna change their mind. So that's a pretty large number, no? If we're gonna believe those numbers, then we're looking at what? Easily 20-25%, no, of the potential electorate, no? So that's a big number. But let's not forget Bongbong Marcos was like 13-15% few quarters back. So his solid went from 13-15 or 10% all the way to 25. We can debate about that. But from the latest number we have, he has pretty large number of people who really, really just want him to be the next president. So that's also another aspect na dapat pag-usapan natin. And that has also implications. So I'm sure all of these people are watching out what's going to happen here. As I said, it also has implications in terms of where's President Duterte standing, how much influence he has, and, yung future ng race, of course, could also dramatically change. Even if hindi man disqualify si Bongbong Marcos with finality, even if this goes to the Supreme Court and drags on, that could also have some dragging down effect on Marcos' momentum, no? Because based on some of the numbers we see, Marcos can even go more than 60%, right? If you add this second preference to the current first preference, yes. But that can also decrease all the way. So if he loses the more than 50% who say when they change their mind, then he can go all the way down to 25-30%. No? So even if he doesn't become disqualified with finality, we can move within a huge range of 30-60% here. No? So yun yung implications na nakikita natin. No? But of course, the Marcos supporters will say, don't worry about this. Pinatakbo naman siya all this time, bilang senador, bilang vice president, bakit ngayon pa lang? So, of course, we also have some very prominent lawyers saying that this whole thing is, walang saysay itong mga petitions and cases na yan. And then it's quite interesting to see that Vice President Leni Robredo's stance seems to be like parang kita-kita na lang sa ballot box. Parang doon na lang tayong maglaban. So it seems Vice President Leni Robredo is not very gung-ho on this petitions, which is quite interesting because you would imagine that a lot of people behind these petitions actually medyo more partial, probably almost certainly to the opposition and most likely to the Lenny camp. So let's see anong mangyayari dyan. So there's a lot really at stake in the coming days, or in fact in the coming hours or so, para sa ating demokrasya, hindi lang para sa electoral race na yan, no? At yun nga, the one thing we learned from President Duterte over the past 6 years since he ran for the presidency, is that never underestimate unpredictability, no? So I'm not gonna say that everything is set in stone. Although, of course, may mga columnists, pwede ba silang tawagin columnists? Parang propagandist na yung mga iba dyan na openly, na beyond gravity na the momentum is just so strong na no one will dare to stand in front of them. Of course, I'm sure that's what certain camps want to believe and want us to believe. But some are trying to make that argument that talagang bulldozer na to, nothing can stop it. But that's what we saw with President Duterte over the past 5, 6. Whether because of him or not because of him, suddenly things crazily change, including our world. Kaya please, ingat kayo dyan. Grabe itong Omicron na to. Mukhang ang daming naapektuhan. Kaya ngayon lahat, nasa bahay na lang lahat to play safe. Kaya medyo nagpapa-fresh air tayo dito. Kasi yun nga, wag na lang tayo lumabas masyado. Delikado na. Who knows? Mabilis yata ang hawaan nito Mabilis ng transmissibility ito. Hindi na ito katulad nung Delta and the others na social distancing and the usual stuff. So we don't know. So kaya nga alert level 3 pa lang naman, 'di ba? Mataas na yan. But hindi pa nag-alert level 4, 'di ba, sa Manila. Kamusta kayo diyan? Ayan, medyo magkamustahan naman tayo. Matagal na tayo hindi nag-usap, pero I hope you like medyo relax mode natin ng ganyan, no. Magkaroon ba ng... If Vivian was not on the lead, Jake... yun issue kasi. Yeah, yun nga parang... remember nung padulo ng 2016, nung naging panalo na si Duterte, tapos biglang naglabas ng yung mga bank account issue ng opposition, yung kalaban, tapos lalo nag-backfire. So we have a kind of a precedence kung saan when someone is really leading, and then dun mo palang lalo magba-backfire yan. Mukhang it's just like trying to drag down the person. But the thing kasi is the petitions were being filed while hindi pa nag-consolidate yung unit team lead na ganong kalakas ngayon, diba? So, we're still, the official campaign, when is that? February pa, diba? So, so this is slightly different from what happened. Kasi in the case of, diba yung when Trillanes was going after Duterte, parang March na yata yan, no? Oo, parang March, April na yung issue ng bank accounts and all of that. So medyo late na talaga yon, right? But I'm sure the supporters of Marcos would make that point. Hindi lang yon, hindi lang yung leading siya. Bakit ngayon na tumatakbo siyang presidente? Ngayon niya, dapat ni-raise niya dati kasi diba yung conviction na yan, tagal na lang, diba? 1990s pa yan. So, bakit ganun? So I'm sure yun yung stance ng Marcos camp. But the way I look at it, their stance is even dismissive. This whole thing is just a charade. Parang ganun yung position nila, and I'm not sure that's gonna help their case. I'm not sure. So siguro if for the Marcos camp, dapat talaga vigilant din ng lawyers sila, get things together, no? Kasi marami silang kalaban ngayon Marami silang kalaban ngayon, di ba? Hindi lang naman yung opposition Yung iba na gusto makiki-administration, ay rin kay Bongbong. So, yun, di ba? Pati si Tatay Digong, anong sinabi niya, di ba? So, yun, medyo tayo. Yun lang. Kamusta dyan, Josfer? Roque, pa-shout out daw. Kaano nyo ba si, Harry Roque? Umakyat si Harry Roque sa, sa Senate, Si Robin Padilla, tumatakbo ba ang senador? Parang comment share siya dun sa pinost ko sa Constitution, di ko gets yung sinasabi. Sorry, no offense, I just want to, parang kina-clarify ko lang bakit siya nag-post ng something like that. Hindi, tumatakbo siya, nakita mo. Joke lang. Bagyo boy, hindi naman siya. Sports and are too proud to even check. Yeah, I get the point na yung sinasabi naman, exactly precise because he's seeking the highest position, dapat lalong maraming scrutiny. Pero yung nga yung point ko diba? Kung talagang position mo is dapat hindi siya dapat tumakbo for any high level position. Wasn't vice presidency